Welcome into a Saturday morning here on Coach and Company. Coming up in just a couple of hours is a very pivotal, important day in the world of college football. So we like to come on for just a few minutes, not very long. It's all college football. If you are looking for baseball, don't even worry about it. Live in your feed right now, our divisional baseball playoff preview with my man Mikey P. And of course, King Lettuce Young Peyton. Now, speaking of Mikey P, he always joins me every single Saturday morning to break down the biggest games in college football. But also this week, Mikey, we've got some big storylines in college football as well. And that's exactly where we are going to start. It has not been the best year, has it, Mikey, for Clemson and Dabo Swinney or North Carolina with Boothang and Bill Belichick? But they play each other this week. How many times do you think we'll see shots of those two head coaches throughout this game?
I thought that's the only thing we were going to get. Do we actually have to worry about? In my notes for this morning show, Coach, I wrote, not sure if we have to talk about the game, which coach will last longer, question mark. Because I think that, and I'll start from my game perspective. Can we even take Clemson serious as a minus 14-point favorite? It's just insane to me. So I am just looking at, is Dabo Swinney a coach to the level of a Bill Belichick? You have one of the best college coaches in recent history going up against one of the greatest NFL coaches of all time. That's the story.
Well, it's a noon kickoff, and amazingly, North Carolina has more wins than Clemson at this point, which is a little bit crazy. So they started off, make sure I have these correct. So they started off, it says 2-2. Why am I seeing 3 losses here? So Central Florida, what am I looking at here? That's correct, right? They lost to Central Florida last week 34-9. They beat Charlotte. They beat the Richmond Spiders that barely have a football game. But the bottom line is this. I don't think that Bill Belichick is enjoying things as much. But Mikey Dabo, who's always stood on his faith and stood on everything that is right in college football, refuses to use the portal to his advantage, and he makes north of $10 million a year. Mikey, at some point, Clemson University has to look at this and say, I know he brought us to the promised land. I know he's made us a perennial top team in college football, but not anymore because he refuses to go out and get the top players. He still wants to go to high school and develop them. There's no more developing years. It's about the portal. Why won't he use it to his advantage?
He should look across the sidelines today and see Bill Belichick standing there and see this is the evolution of college football. Why in God's green earth would Bill Belichick ever be gracing a college football sideline is because of the control. That's a big word for Bill Belichick that he can have as a coach at the college level, from the transfer portal to GMs that we see in these universities now, right? I believe it's Mike Lombardi. Like, he got to bring his whole crew in. You get to literally have control of the program top to bottom. Dabo, if you have all the control in the world, use it. It's just that simple.
His buyout is ginormous. If he got fired, he'd make so much money. He's already made a ton of money. And to your point, Belichick couldn't get it in the NFL anymore. There were no team, not even his own Robert Kraft wanted to give him control anymore. So he went to the only place that he could and set up his son to take over, I believe, next year. I don't think Bill wants to be around. Him and Boothang are going to be traveling the world. She has proven to be there. She has gone nowhere. In fact, I think she has control issues based off of what I see and the fact that she doesn't want him out of her sight. It's crazy, but tip of the cap to fucking Belichick. Come on now. Let's give him a little bit of credit.
You would think the roles were reversed, right? Like, he needs to keep his eye on her and make sure that, like, she's not going out and going off to campus parties. And she's like, Bill, honey, you've got
Can you imagine her at the on-campus party? She'd look the part. She would look the part. Oh, are you a senior here? No. My boyfriend is a senior citizen here. Oh my God. All right, we got to move on to games that absolutely matter. And last year, when Vanderbilt beat Alabama in Music City, USA, it was an incredible win. And then they stumbled down the stretch and could do nothing else. Now, this is a big one because Vandy is now a top 20 team. They've got a legend in the making when you're talking about their quarterback who won't play in the NFL, but he's a really, really, really great college quarterback and a great leader. He's fiery. And he's got a pretty good storyline off the field as well with the famous comedian Theo and his mom. And are they dating? To me, I'm good with those storylines. I like Real Housewives and that show. But here, it's a completely different animal. Alabama coming off a huge win on the road at Georgia. So they're coming home fired up, Mikey. They're laying a full 10.5 against a Vandy team that has looked really, really good. They're undefeated. And you wonder if this number's too much. What do you think it would be if they were playing actually in Vandy as well?
Well, the big thing for me that scares me with this entire game, this truly may be a game I just sit back and watch. Vanderbilt has won their games by an average margin of 31 points. You're
Wow.
not beating Alabama by 31 points. I don't care if the entire team has COVID and they don't show up on the field. You're not beating Alabama by 31 points. But and Ty Simpson, Coach, you made a great point about Diego Pavia. He is, and I will use a former Alabama quarterback. He is to me like an AJ McCarron, right? We know
Yes.
there's not an NFL talent there, but could you cement yourself in program history so that 10 years from now, when the next Vandy quarterback is walking through the halls, he goes, I want to be the next Diego. I may never go pro, but I want to be the next Diego. I want to be a Commodore for the rest of my life, right? So I think Diego Pavia has a chance to really cement himself. But on the other side, you have Ty Simpson, one of the most underrated college quarterbacks. He's thrown 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. And the last time Vandy beat Bama, coach, in Bama, 1950.
By the way, I want to be Diego Pavia when I grow up, let alone some young cat walking through the hallways of Vandy. 1950, 75 years ago, they went to Tuscaloosa, one bar across their helmets, and they were ready to go. And we'll see. I know they'll be ready to go, but I think Alabama found something against Georgia. They've got a quarterback who can run. They've got really dynamic wideouts. And I think they just needed that win to get over the Florida State loss and now say, okay, our season wasn't over after week number 1. Okay, now we can really start to think about a playoff run, but you can't overlook teams like this. You just can't. How good do you think Alabama truly is?
I think Alabama is a college football playoff team that's middle of the road, right? They're not the Alabama of old. The cliche saying, your father or your grandfather. They're not even my Alabama, right? They're not even the Nick Saban Alabama. This is a Alabama team that I think will show, hey, maybe we're getting some respect back in the college football community. We may not be great, but now you open it up to the transfer portal or the incoming freshmen who say, I want to help. I think we're close, but I think my presence could get Alabama back. So I think we're just one more year until Alabama can be reestablished as a powerhouse, but I think they win this game.
All right, very, very good. So consensus between you and I is that Alabama wins. Might be a stay away for both of us because that 10.5, it scares me either way. If I bet on Bandy, I'd be waiting for the mistakes. If I bet on Bama, I'd be waiting for the mistakes. So let's stay away. All right, the next game we're looking at, we're going to go to the Big 12. And Texas Tech has a unbelievably wealthy alum who loves sports. They paid what, $1 million for a softball pitcher? I think that was the number.
Yeah.
It's insane the NIL money that is being spent, and specifically on this Texas Tech football team. They've got a quarterback who has proven to be absolutely dynamic. Both of these teams are undefeated, Mikey, and Texas Tech, much like Alabama, laying double digits, but they're playing on the road, which means this would be 14 or 15 in Lubbock. Your take?
I think Texas Tech rolls. I don't know about that 11.5, but I think they roll. The big thing you're going to hear is Houston has scored at least 27 points in every game. All right, I'll play devil's advocate. Texas Tech, not only is 2-0 or 4-0, excuse me, against the spread, but they have allowed just, wait for it, 45 points this season. All right, so as much as we look at the Texas Tech quarterback and we believe that they're the high-powered Red Raiders offense that we've always known them to be, this defense is real. We just talked about Alabama and where they're at. I think Texas Tech's defense shows up in this game and launches them into, we better be careful because Texas Tech is for real.
Wow, they win this one, and depending how other things fall, they could be a top 10 ranked team by as early as this coming week. They really, really could. All right, moving on to another one that has national championship or at least playoff implications, and that is in Tallahassee. And Mikey, I don't know if you've ever been to a game at Florida State, but there is a gigantic difference between a noon start and a 7:30 p.m. start under the lights as everybody has been trying to find a parking spot. There's no really big parking lots, so you park in houses, you're paying $40 for parking, you're there all day drinking. So by the time this game starts against the U, it's going to be a saucy atmosphere. And they're getting 4.5 at home. Your take?
Well, it's going to come down to the battle of quarterbacks, and that's all we're going to hear. Tommy Castellanos led Florida State to the upset of Alabama. Is he for real? Carson Beck, he is 28-3 as a starter, the best record and most wins by a college football quarterback since 2023. But here's the interesting part. It's as much as the quarterbacks will be talked about, as much as the story rivalry will be talked about, how about 336 rushing yards? That's what Florida State averages. I think you know the game plan if you're the Hurricanes. I think you know where you got to stop it. But here's the interesting part for me. Tommy Castellanos is a big part of that. So, Miami, you have to decide, is he going to beat you with his arm? Or are you going to be vulnerable to the rushing attack of the Seminoles? This is a fascinating matchup. I think I like Florida State.
How did you think he looked last week? They gave up 46 against Virginia. They have to bounce back. You could say they were looking ahead, but normally that means your offense did not play well. They scored 38. So I don't know what it was, but maybe Virginia is just better than what we thought. But if you're scoring 46 on Florida State with that quarterback in Virginia, what do you think Carson Beck can do to that defense the way they've looked? And also, Mikey, it's pretty obvious to me their coaching staff wants to show the world every single week how good they are. If they can win 60-0, damn it, they're going to try to win 60-0.
I agree. Yeah, for me, it's as bad as the Florida State defense did look against Virginia. I think this is a team, I hate that, right? Oh, they were looking past Virginia. But I do think when you look past Virginia and you get punched in the mouth or trampled on because Virginia beat you and they stormed the field, whatever you want to say, now you really have a gut check opportunity here for Florida State. Do you want to rise to the occasion because your defense was just embarrassed and now you're going to go up against Miami? And you think you're going to have a better performance, you just need to be average in comparison to what you were against Virginia. So that's a great point, Coach. I think if the Florida State defense plays like Virginia, I'm not just smashing the over like I said last week. I'm hammering the over.
It could be we haven't seen we've seen in the NFL a lot of bad beats when it comes to totals. Big first halves, nothing in the second half. It doesn't happen so much in college. So I'm with you. I'm gonna absolutely hammer this total. All right, the last one graphically, and then we're gonna hit on a couple others just verbally. But in the SEC, Mississippi State last week missed a golden opportunity to take a giant step forward. There's a reason they don't have a number next to their name. Flip side, Texas A&M. For several years, they had the big money, $100 million a year head coach. That didn't work out. They got rid of him. Then they're trying to bring in all these different players. That didn't work out, so they brought in new ones. I feel like, Mikey, maybe they've hit the jackpot because they go on the road to Notre Dame, score more than 40. Their offense has been amazing. Their quarterback could be the best in the entire league, and they're laying almost 16 points against a Bulldogs team who took Tennessee, who gave Georgia a run and should have beaten Georgia all the way to overtime last week. Is this number a little bit too high?
No, because Marcel Reed will establish his Heisman candidacy against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Coach, very quickly, I know I always have all these little factoids. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. Do you know how many games Mississippi State has played outside of Mississippi this year?
Outside of the state of Mississippi?
Yep.
Well, I know last week was at home against Tennessee, so I'm guessing since you asked me that, probably the answer is 0?
Goose egg. They played Southern Miss on the road, and now they've played 4 straight home games. Now they go. Now you take all of that and you go to Texas A&M. What a Heisman candidate! One of the best atmospheres in college football. Good luck. That's all I got to say. Good luck.
Good luck.
I could see not only this overhitting, I could see this spread hitting. I think Marcel Reed really establishes himself as the nation's best quarterback, especially as a dual threat. This kid is electric. We saw it last week with the quarterback out of Oregon. Now we're starting to see these Heisman candidates really come to light, and I think we're going to see Marcel Reed kind of running that front of that race.
And normally, this is the time of year where you start to see that race take some sort of form because now most of the games are conference games, and certainly in the SEC, every week you're playing somebody halfway decent, if not really, really good. And so now we got to keep our eyes on these quarterbacks that mostly live in the SEC. Two other quick games I want to hit on. Then we're going to hit on your upset special. Speaking of the SEC, Texas and the Arch Manning experiment, they're still a top 10 team. They are 3-1. They haven't looked that good, but I think they've steadied the ship just a little bit. They have a chance, Mikey, to really put a nail in the coffin. Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, they would fall to 1-4 if they lose to Texas in Gainesville this week. Is this a job-saving game for Billy?
Yeah, I think it's a legacy game for both. Arch Manning, can you get a coach fired? Not that you want to have that on your resume, but that's the reality of the situation. And when you beat a team like Florida, no matter ranked, unranked, they are still a good team. There was a reason why they were ranked to start the year. They have talent on the field. It could come down to coaching. So Billy Napier, he's got to coach for his job. And I think Arch Manning's got to play for a little bit more of that national respect back. You go into Gainesville, you have a performance, of a lifetime against the Gators. People will remember that.
Okay. So that game is at 3:30 Eastern on Saturday. Only 5.5-point spread. I'm ready to pull the trigger on Texas, less than a touchdown, because they still have something to play for. Florida is just trying to play. They already have 3 losses. They know they're not going to the playoffs. Texas still believes they're a playoff team. So you got to win games like this. At least this is what I believe. I want you to tell me if you agree with this. That when you have a game against a name that's not as good, sometimes the voters, when you get to December, they beat Florida by 30, as the Gators have that name value. So when you're playing the game, are they thinking about it? Is Steve Sarkisian going, man, we got to put a beat down on these Gators?
Yeah, it's 100%. It's exactly what I was referring to. There is name value because think about this. If you're just going off name value, you're like, oh, they lost opening week to Ohio State, but it was a close game. And they beat Florida by, like you said, 30. Oh, this team can dominate, big programs in college football. We've got to put them instead of 11th. We got to put them at 7, depending on how the rest of the season goes.
I would love to know. I've had a pretty decent life and career. I don't have a lot to complain about, but I was thinking about Arch Manning's life the other day. You're 20 years old. You're the starting quarterback at Austin. I'm quite certain he's probably a fraternity guy. He's making over $6 million a year to play college quarterback. And then you're in a family of multi gazillionaires. Boy, life does not suck. Last games, you mentioned Ohio State, number 1 with a bullet. Last week, there was a lot of people that thought that Washington was going to be a team that could give them a game. It was workmanlike. 24-6. Their defense is dynamic. They shut down Texas, and last week they did it again. They have Minnesota coming to town this week, and to me, it's not even about the spread. It's about Ohio State continuing to show we're the number 1 team. Because remember, they're not just playing Mikey for a Big Ten championship. there's been issues with teams not qualifying for their conference game, still getting into the playoffs. So you got to remember that. And they are a team that was right in that mix the last couple of years.
If we weren't in 2025, we would be sitting here not doing college football preview shows on Saturday mornings talking about quarterbacks. We would be talking about just the overall best players. There is no better player in college football than Caleb Downs. I don't care. I will die on that hill. And I know every Saturday morning I come in and I've got one player I'm going to put over. Caleb Downs should be the number one pick in the NFL draft. He won't be because the Saints are really bad and they need a quarterback. But there is a true dynamic game changer in all of college football, and his name is Caleb Downs. And I think a game like going up against Minnesota, you're going to go, I don't care about the game. I'm going to watch this game simply for the play of Caleb Downs.
That game will be on NBC. And I believe it is, it's a 7:30. There's a lot of good 7:30 games tonight. There's a lot. You got Texas Tech 7, Miami 7:30, Ohio State 7:30, Texas A&M 7:30. So you got to figure out which games you want to play. Or do you want to watch an upset special? Because we're looking for 4 weeks in a row this week. What is our upset special of the week?
Well, Coach, you mentioned them just a few seconds ago, and you said Washington. And what did Washington have to do this week? They hosted the Ohio State. Now they've got to make the 2,700-mile trip to Maryland. That does nobody good. The last time they went and made this trip, they lost to Rutgers 21-18. And I don't know if it's irony, but their quarterback, Malik Washington, is one of the best underclassmen quarterbacks in all of college football. Here's what I love about this Maryland Terrapin team. Not only are they undefeated, they have the most, this is not a joke, the most starting freshmen, more than the rest of the Big Ten combined.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
you want to talk about
Wow.
good coaching. That is good coaching. They lost, I believe, 32 players to the transfer portal this past offseason. So their coach says, hey, it's all on you, kids. It is all on you. And now you get to welcome them. That plus 6.5, I am running to the cash window and saying, please take all my tickets. Let's cash 4 weeks in a row.
All of them right now. I may buy a half a point to give me that security of that 7. It's such a difference having a 7 ticket or a 7.5 than it is 6.5. So it'll be interesting to see what that is. But going for 4 in a row, hashtag it pays to watch this show live. Mikey, best of luck tomorrow on the Sunday morning show. I'm going to try to send you in a couple of fire picks for your show. All right.
Please. I mean, listen, it should be a great time because there's no Bears game. Nobody has to worry about me being a fan or going over the top if I'm going to be happy or sad. It's just a straight week of NFL action from top to bottom. And we're going to have a little live football while we're on air because who doesn't want to watch the Browns and Vikings?
Oh, I don't want to watch it, but I want the updates. I damn sure want the updates. Right now, the Vikings are in purgatory. They're like, 2 weeks? We got our ass handed to us last week. Carson Wentz doesn't show up till the fourth quarter, and now we got to stay in London for. I'm telling you right now, this will get quoted. I don't want to say I hate the UK. I never looked forward to going. Let me say that. If you're looking for road trips, there's no highways in the UK. There's a roundabout, Mike. Do you know what a roundabout is?
Of course. I've got a small brain, but it works a little bit.
There's a lot of roundabouts in the UK. So we would always be in a bus, and it would take forever to get anyway because we'd go 8 miles, stop, roundabout, 8 miles, stop, roundabout. But that's why I don't live in the UK. Mikey, well done today. Appreciate you as always. All right, that's going to do it for today. Enjoy your day of football. Don't forget, there is a baseball show in your feed right now. Mikey and young Peyton. Watch that because there are 4 games today. The first one, I believe, starts at 2:08 p.m. Eastern time. So you have Chicago and Milwaukee, then the Yankees and Toronto, then Detroit and Seattle. And then the 6:38 game, the late game, will be the Dodgers and the Phillies. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, we'll be back on Monday morning also for the full weekend rewind. As always, we never take a break, and we do it for all of you. For Mikey, for producer man, I am the coach. We'll see you next time right here on Coach and Company.